I'm needing to learn all I can about Linux and real-time operating systems for a new work assignment. And you guys have really helped me discover resources and make sense of this new computing world. You sometimes mention show notes during the podcast, but I can't find the ones on the older shows. Are they available? Thanks again. Annie. That's from Annie. And she says, P.S. I listened from France, by the way. You guys get around. I love that. We're worldwide. We're international. So we're gonna have to do a French version, a French translated version. Anyway, that is a good email. And as far as the early show notes, we don't have them done, but we'll try to get something posted possibly before the end of the world. But Paul is doing the show notes now, and he's been keeping up ever since he said he was going to do them. He's been keeping them up every week. So again, highly praise Paul, and thanks for the show notes. And that's what we got going on now. But maybe because Dor does write notes for every show, so he might have some of the early ones, and we could take them and slap them up on the site. But that's a topic to be talked about later. Anything to say on this, Dor?
Yeah, sure. If any listener ever contacts me and says, on episode 18, you were talking about this, where can I find out about it? Shoot me an email. I have notes going back to episode 17, which is why I said episode 18. I have notes going back to episode 17. I have no problem sharing the doc with anyone who wants to know where did I get information about, or what, on any specific show, what was mentioned. I mean, I'm just too busy to put them all on a web page, and that's my excuse.
Yeah, I have the same excuse too. All right, this next one's from Leslie. More Raspberry Pi suggestions. All right, I'll read this, and then oh my god, it's just like a lot of stuff. Let me just do the shortened version of this. I love the idea of hooking up sensors to the Raspberry Pi, allowing such a powerful, for its size, device to sense the world around it. Opens up amazing possibilities. Like number one, super home automation from top to bottom in the attic. All kinds of stuff. Ultrasonic sound. Turn on the attic fan when the attic gets too hot. Here's just a couple of examples. Air conditioning and heating via cameras or voice or something. The RP could... What's an RP?
Raspberry Pi.
Oh, that's right. Could tell how was home, or could tell how was home and set the temperature to that person's ideal... Oh, who was home and set the temperature to that person's ideal temperature. Like when the wife comes home, set it to temperature. When somebody else comes home, reminds you when the air filter needs to be changed, or just for general household, rather than a whiteboard hung up somewhere, hang an old flat screen hooked up to a Raspberry Pi, hooked up to a mic, and dictate your list to it. It would display the list and could test you the list as well. Text, I guess he was trying to say. With the Raspberry Pi hooked up to microphones throughout the house, you could relay a voice command to other Raspberry Pis around the house. Like Dor said about voice sampling a snore. The same principle can be used elsewhere, i.e. if the command is set, send a signal to turn on the TV, etc. Cool stuff. Can you imagine a house that set itself to your preset likes when you come home? Bacon. He's got a couple things on bacon here. Drill a small hole in the back of your fridge, attach low voltage pressure sensor, hook it up to the Raspberry Pi. Now, if you use that drawer only for bacon storage, the Raspberry Pi can tell you when you are getting low on bacon, when you need to go on a bacon run. Buy a mini fridge on Craigslist. One large enough for a George Foreman grill to fit inside. Cut the bottom off the end. Oh, he's got all kinds of stuff. That's a good one.
Dude, you got to forward me that email.
Yeah, rig a motor to open the door. Okay. Security, exterior security lights. Another one's camera inside the house. I could send the videos to the RP. Same thing with mics, voice recognition. All kinds of stuff Leslie has here. I'll send it to Dor, and he will definitely review that. Thank you, Leslie, for the extraordinarily long email. Much appreciated. And let me check one thing, see if you have any other emails here. I just forwarded it to you, Dor. Okay. There we go. Next is from Denning. Thanks, Dor and Steve. Thanks for putting together a great show, Linux for the rest of us, every week. Here's a link to a cool-looking Linux tablet. It's on geek.com, and it looks like it is the Well, they called it Spark here, and then what they changed the name of it? That stupid name that you said.
Well, Spark is like the public-facing name of it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like
you.
my Dell XPS M1210.
I gotcha. Oh, and there's video of people using it on this one. Check it out. It's on geek.com. Just do a search for Spark Linux tablet, and it should come up. Thank you, Denning. Good stuff. All right.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not going to say Denning was the first one to tell me about it, but he was the one that sent me the most, let's say, accurate, filled article on it. And I totally forgot the videos were here.
Yeah, that's all right. I want to watch them. Here's another voicemail. Heck, let's just get all this stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we played this before. So here we go.
Hey, Steve. Hey, Dor. This is Les. Hey, I just wanted to comment on your guys' last show.
Did we do this one, Dor?
Not sure.
Okay.
I don't remember what the number was, 70-something. Anyway, Dor was talking about dropping the tablets out of airplanes. Now, I wasn't picturing them falling and hitting kids on the head and stuff like that. The first thing that came to mind was a scene from The Gods Must Be Crazy, whereas they'll pick this thing up and it'll become some sort of religious icon or something like that. I was cracking up. It's hilarious. Anyway, the other thing I called to tell you about was when Dor was talking about the Ubuntu's coming out with a tablet, but I don't think it'll be all that popular, or rather they'll have a hard time with it. And then he said basically the same thing with the Ubuntu TV. But my way of thinking is, if I can run Ubuntu on my desktop, Ubuntu on my laptop, Ubuntu on my pad, Ubuntu on my TV, and I don't know how interconnected they'll be, but that would just be freaking awesome. To have one operating system, or at least I would imagine the way that they work might be a little bit different, but still one operating system for all of those components. Shoot, if it worked good, I'd get the TV and the tablet in a heartbeat. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Oh, and Dor, I didn't even send in Raspberry Pi. What is it? Anyway, Raspberry Pi things, because I just figured you were getting a crap load of emails. So as soon as I get home, I'm sending you emails of all these ideas that I have to do with the Raspberry Pi. Anyway, talk to you later. Yeah.
Very cool. So I think that was the one we'd read before. That's the long one. Thanks for the voicemail. What do you got to say, Dor?
Very cool. And I gotta say, I do think he is right, and I do think you were right. If I can have a TV system, a tablet system, and a computer system that are all essentially the same, I think that does push the desirable factor up. Because I first kind of poo-pooed it. But I think you guys are right. It would make it much better to someone who can say, well, I can have that on here and here.
Right.
It's easier to understand then,
right.
Less to, spousal approval kind of thing. Let's do it.
Yeah. I agree. I really can't wait to hook a Raspberry Pi up to a TV. It's just going to be so cool.
Yeah.
It's going to put Google TV. I think it'll put Google TVs out of business.
To me, it should put it completely out of business, because they're not updating it quick enough. They're not giving it flexibility and a lot of apps and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. They should throw Raspberry Pis out of planes and hit kids on the head.
Yeah. But he is right. I do remember that movie. It was a Coke bottle, I believe it was.
Oh, really?
That a tribe came across, and it was like mystical and magical. So it became a religious icon thing.
That's so funny. Yeah, I got to see that movie. All right. Brent says, love the show. Keep up the good work. I'm making a slow switch to Linux. Started a few months ago. I hope to be full time Linux in another couple months. Your podcast has been very valuable in this respect. Something I don't understand that I was hoping you'd have a few minutes to discuss on the show. What's the difference between the various distributions as far as applications are concerned? Most distros seem to have a dedicated repository, but what's the difference between, say, Firefox for Mint and Firefox for Fedora, or Arch, or etc.? Is it a simple difference in dependencies / configurations, or do the developers have to write completely different code? Could any piece of Linux code be compiled to work on a given system? If so, how do you prepare so that the compiled code will work on your particular setup? Thanks. Great show, from Brent.
Right. Well, most of the time, the differences really are, and the best way I can put this, most accurate, is petty, very petty differences. And what I mean by that is you go to load Firefox on Linux Mint, the default homepage is now Linux Mint.
I see.
And the default search engine is now screwed up and won't work right because it's using the Linux Mint system. Well, they fixed that in the latest 1.12, I believe, but that's the majority of the types of changes are that small and insignificant.
So, but the developers don't have to write new code.
Not new code. They basically just take what they have, out of 20,000 lines, and they change one line.
I see.
That is the majority of the changes. And like with Mint, like with a multimedia application, they might make sure they have built into it support for OGG and MP3 and Wave and QuickTime and all this other thing. We're on a different system. They might say, well, we're only worrying about OGG and MP3.
I see.
That's the majority of the differences. With almost any piece of software, you can go straight to the source and straight to the developer and download the source. And then you can build and compile it yourself. The disadvantages being you have to then worry about dependencies, where with a software package management system, it takes care of all the dependencies. It knows what else is needed and automatically does it for you.
I see.
So you can fall into what's called dependency hell. Example, I want to install VLC. I go download VLC. I start to install it and it fails. And it says, we need this MP3 codec. Okay. I go download the codec. I go to install. We can't install because we need this library support. Okay. Go download this library. It works. Go back to install the other one. It works. Go back to VLC, start to install, fails. We need support for this visually displaying thing. And you literally can spend 4 hours finding the dependencies and doing it all. And it can become quite painful. But on certain systems like Slackware, they have a thing called Slack builds that can make that system of worrying about dependencies much less painful. Yeah. Almost easy.
Gotcha.
That's why I just installed the package manager.
Right. Cool. Well, thanks for the answer, Dor. And thank you for that email. Last voicemail of the night, and if we missed any, I'm sorry. That's all I have to say. We'll do everything next week.
Hi, this is Karim Lalani again. So the second thing that I wanted to talk about...
This is a two-parter. We'll play this. I know it is about Raspberry Pi, so we'll play this, and that'll be the end of everything for tonight. Here we go.
Hey, this is Karim Lalani. I am calling to say two things. I heard a caller in your last show who was asking about how to install Linux on an old computer, which only has one USB port that doesn't support booting with USB. I've had a similar experience. I've had to install Linux on some old Fujitsu stylistic 3400 and 3500 tablets, and since I did not buy the dock with them, the only plugging interface that was available was a 1.1 USB. So what I ended up doing was I wanted to test to see if I could install